Hmm. Okay, Peter Rallis. What I found in your review of Predators was that for the first minute and a half, you complained that since this was so different from the original, that it wasn't a remake. But it wasn't a remake. It was a sequel. It didn't have to be like the first one. But that was like your biggest argument in the whole thing was it's so different from the original, so it's not good. It's ugh, and you also complained that this movie was just humans versus predators. Well, if you watch the first movie, the one with Schwarzenegger is which the one I'm referring to. That movie is human versus predators. Okay, do you like in the first movie? There's men walking through the jungle. A predator comes and fights them. So that, under definition, is humans versus predators. That's all the movie's about. That's the whole movie. Is these men trying to escape from this thing that's trying to kill them, and that's what this movie's about. This movie has the exact same kind of story as the first one. It's not the exact same, but it's like the same basic plot summary. These men trying to escape from predators. So that was just kind of a facepalm moment right there when you said that. And you complained about the character development. You said you wanted them all to die and that they had no character development. Actually, I would have to say this has way more character development than the first one. I mean, in the first one, these men just come into the jungle. They have dialogue that kind of gives you a hint of who they are, but in this one, they actually go and say, okay, look, they go each individual person in this movie and they say, okay, this is what I did, this is why I'm here, and this is my background, okay, this is what I do. And so that was way more character development than the first one. By no means am I bashing on the first movie. I love that movie. I love this one too. I'm just saying your review was just kind of so that was another face palm right there. And another face palm was you said it was a waste of the sequence when the Japanese guy was trying to kill the predator with a sword. I don't see that as a waste of a sequence. It gives you it kills off a character that you start to begin to like when like he starts talking and says and he gives character development and like you realize he's actually like a nice guy. And so when he's fighting this thing, he's like he tells all the others to run off. This guy's like this guy's ready to die in order to protect the others. So he's I don't see why you wanted him to die. That's not a waste of a sequence, dude. That was actually a pretty heartfelt moment right there. This man gave his life for the other people, which is I don't know why you hate. I don't see why you have a problem with that. And that's totally not a waste of a sequence. A sequence isn't supposed to give major plot points. A sequence is just an action based moment in the film. That's what a sequence is. And so that was another face palm. That was just Another face palm was when he said it was bad because they teamed up against the Predator. They didn't team up against the Predator. They didn't both fight the Predator at the same time. That's teaming up. They did not team up. He cut the Brody cut the Predator down, and the Predator chokes Adrian Brody like hardcore. And he looks at him for a second. And he's like, you know what? I should kill you, but since you cut me down, I'm gonna help you. And so like he shows Adrian Brody the ship, and he's like, okay, well now I'm gonna try to kill this big Predator. So that's not teaming up. That was the Predator's gonna help the Adrian Brody for like 5 seconds and go do his own thing. And then Adrian Brody doesn't intervene when the big Predator kills the little one. He's just like kind of like, oh. And so then Brody kills the Predator, which I don't. That was a pretty big facepalm right there, dude. And then like a giant facepalm was the mud thing that you said. That was like a hardcore facepalm. That was like breaking a nose facepalm. Like it was like you said that he didn't like you said when he I don't know I can't talk. You said that he covered himself in mud and then you quote unquote say, "Oh, because I've never seen that before." Well, the reason he knew how to cover himself in mud is if you paid attention in the movie, the chick was like, "Oh, I know where these things, what these things are," because back in '87, which she's referring to the first movie, if you paid attention, she's like, "Well, back in '87 in Guatemala, this guy Schwarzenegger saw all these things, and he covered himself in mud because they see with heat vision." And so that's how Brody knew how to do it. He didn't just pull that out of midair. So I don't know what your problem was with that. And you said that the coldness of the fire would stand out against. No, you said the coldness of the mud would stand out against the fire. Okay, the mud was cold when Schwarzenegger first landed in the mud in the first movie. He was like surrounded by all kinds of mud. He was just covered in this stuff. And so the predator couldn't see him for that brief time. But later in the movie, when Schwarzenegger covers himself again, it eventually warms up with his body heat, and the predator is able to see him after a while. Same thing happened here. When Brody first had the mud on, the predator couldn't see him because he was all blue, he was dark, it was cold, and so he didn't see him for that at that point. But after he turned on the fire, and the fire heated up the mud as well, along with his body heat, and the predator couldn't see him then. And so I don't see that was another face palm right there. It was a pretty big face palm right there. And then hold on, you said that the end with the doctor that was okay. You said that the end twist was bad because it was random and out of nowhere, and like a minute ago he was like help me. Well, at the end the whole thing was that he reveals that he was a murderer the whole time, so it wasn't out of nowhere. Adrian Brody even points out himself. He's like, "Hey, what's this guy doing here? He doesn't belong." And so that was that. The guy revealed that he was a killer. He was twisted up in the head. The only reason he was like, "Oh, help me," because he didn't want to die. Wouldn't you do the same thing? Even if you were a murderer, you would say that. You wouldn't want to die. So that was a pretty big facepalm. And so, like, this whole review, I think, was just, uh, it was just really pointless, man. I don't see how you could see much wrong with this movie. There were some bad parts, but what you said wasn't that it wasn't as bad as you make it out to be. Is I'm trying to say. You were just I don't know. But then again, this coming from the guy that said Transformers 2 was quote unquote perfect. I don't really expect much out of the reviewing skill. But anyways, I respect your opinion, but I'm just saying you kind of missed out a lot on this movie. I think when you were watching this movie, you were already planning what you were gonna say in the review. Which, if you go into the movie with a bad mindset, then you're gonna come out of the movie with a bad mindset. It's just you made a mistake. God help you.